What's going on, off the record fans? Today is Friday, TGIF. It's 5 o'clock. It is April 11th. I hope you guys had a great week. I had a great week. Definitely busy, but we're going to go through some of these news segments. If you haven't heard, big news. Thank you to my girlfriend who sent me this article. Don't know how I didn't see it, but on the 8th, something happened with the bassist of Weezer's wife. We'll get into a little bit on Weezer, and then we'll talk about the hot news that's going on right now. So, legends in flux. All right, guys. So today's episode, we're diving into this band, the soundtrack to an awkward teenagehood, a meme era revivals, and now, strangely enough, real life crime headlines. We're talking about the band Weezer. And again, Weezer, Blue Album, Buddy Holly, nerd rock royalty. And before we get into the chaos of the headlines of what's going on right now, this year marks the 30th anniversary of the Blue Album. I just watched a video. We did a segment on Chino from Deftones in an earlier episode. I watched a video of him talking about how if he could pick any band to be, it would be Weezer to play the Blue Album. He talked about how it's such a simple album, yet it's one of the most incredible albums, the most catchy albums. It's just something that really just jets right into your mind. So, 30th anniversary of the Blue Album, and for a lot of the fans, it's a huge reason to celebrate. The record dropped in 1994, and it instantly carved out space for the alt-rock community that didn't feel like grunge or britpop or pop punk. It was completely different, vulnerable and awkward in the best way. And if you've ever really looked at Rivers Cuomo, he looks like a very awkward person. And talking to different studio workers, people that are producers or work in studios, have worked with the band, definitely an awkward guy. Now in 2025, the band's back on the road with a tour called Voyage to the Blue Planet. They're playing the entire Blue Album front to back, and they're booked for the major slot at Coachella this weekend. So it should be a feel-good circle moment, but instead, it's overshadowed by something way more serious. So this week on April 8th, which I believe was maybe Tuesday, just 4 days before Coachella, news broke that Scott's wife, the bassist, Jillian Lauren, had been shot by police at the couple's home in Eagle Rock, Los Angeles. So now this is where the story turns from rock nostalgia into something that you'd expect from a true crime podcast, which a lot of women listen to go to sleep nowadays. Dating in 2025 is fun. So the LAPD was reportedly at the house looking for a suspect in a hit-and-run investigation unrelated to the couple. But according to the police, Jillian emerged from the house with a handgun. Not the first thing that I leave the house with, unless I'm in Florida. Officers say that they gave her multiple commands to drop the weapon, and she allegedly raised it in their direction. They opened fire. She was hit in the shoulder, and then went back inside and later surrendered to the police. Her injuries were not life-threatening, but the charges were extremely serious. Now she's facing attempted murder, and the bail is set at $1 million. Wow. So now this is just a musician's wife in the news type of stuff. Jillian Lauren is a well-known author and a true crime writer. That's so funny. She's written several memoirs and is best known for the Behold the Monster, where she investigated the confessions of a serial killer, Samuel Little. I've heard that name. Probably from my girlfriend. I don't know. She's been praised for her advocacy, her writing, and her work with helping victims' families. So this wasn't just a shocking incident. It was a whiplash moment for people who follow her professionally. So it's not like she's just a quiet housewife that nobody really knows about. She has her own huge following, just like the bassist. So there's no official explanation as to her state of mind and mental health. It hasn't been addressed publicly yet. But it's safe to say that something went deeply wrong that day. Maybe she was in the middle of a nap. Maybe she was working on a crime novel. Who knows? And now the focus is split partly on her and partly on her husband and the band. They've chosen to move forward. The very next day, Scott was spotted walking his dogs and talking to the press. When they asked how Jillian was doing, he just said, "She's all right." And then casually told folks to come see Weezer do their Coachella set. Classic bass player. "She's all right. Come see us play, man." In my band, Sunblind, we're constantly making bassist jokes with our bassist Sam. Plays bass in like 4 different projects. This is not surprising coming from a bassist. That's it. No public statement. No indication that he's stepped back in any way. Just business as usual. Just hitting them low notes. You gotta love a bass player, man. Some fans saw this as him trying to just stay strong, keeping things professional and just moving forward. But others, it felt completely disconnected. Like, your wife's, she just got a shot at the LAPD, and you're giving a concert plug? As a musician, I kind of get it. Especially when you're married. For those of you that have been married, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Everyone reacts to trauma differently, that's for sure. And then there's no denying the moment felt strange, especially when you're in a band that's all about vulnerability and emotional rawness. It brings up old tensions we always talk about in the music fandom. Can you separate art from the artist? That's right. Balance between a personal crisis and public responsibility. Well, let's come back to that. Let's just zoom out for a second and look at Weezer's strange yet fascinating journey to this point, because they've always been a band that's lived in contrast. Weezer exploded in the mid-90s with a debut album that somehow combined power pop guitar riffs with lyrics about Dungeons and Dragons, awkward parties, and love. Awkward love. The Blue Album was produced by Rick Ocasek, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, of the Cars, and became an instant classic. I was, I believe, in middle school in 1994, so it was something that every guy was talking about, this album. It just completely annihilated the music scene. Everyone loved this album. But when they did a follow-up with Pinkerton in 96, things got messy. That album was darker, weirder, and way more personal about River Cuomo's life. Critics panned it. Fans didn't get it. Rivers, the band's frontman, he took a step back from the spotlight. I don't think he really... you're talking about a piece of art where he's really sharing his emotions. I believe it was about a breakup. He was in a dark place writing that album. I think he really put a lot of his emotions, dark emotions, onto paper with those lyrics. And I think he felt hurt that people weren't liking it. I get it. You just had a huge, huge album. One of the biggest albums in rock history. One of the biggest albums in the 90s. People still listen to that album. I still listen to that album. And then the next one you put out, people were like, ooh, no. I could see why you start withdrawing. It definitely has to mess with your head. It definitely doesn't feel good. But years later, though, Pinkerton became the blueprint for emo, indie rock, and confessional songwriting. It's now considered a cult classic, arguably even more beloved than the debut Blue album. And since then, the band has been all over the place. Albums like Make Believe, Ratitude, Hurley, which I love the cover of that. It's the guy from Lost, the big dude Hurley, which I just watched him in the movie Cooties. If you haven't seen that one, features Elijah Wood and a bunch of people from The Office. Great movie. and the album Pacific Daydream. You name it, they've tried it. They done pop on OK Human, hard rock on Van Weezer, and even on a seasonal EP series with SZNZ. I have not heard that album. So don't forget the viral stuff like the deadpan covers of Toto's Africa, which basically broke the internet for weeks. I'm going to admit, the song Africa, I'm not a fan. Weezer did a cover of it. It was very much like the original. So if you like the original, you'll like Weezer's cover of it. Again, they really just kind of made it a more modern version with their guitar tone. It was interesting to see how Weezer did that. I really like seeing them play covers. I saw them do a Green Day cover, the Having Trouble Trying to Sleep is the first line, and they did it with piano starting. I believe they did that in a live session. Really interesting. If you wanna check that out, that's a good video to check out from Weezer. So some fans think they've sold out. Others think they've become self-aware performance artists. But one thing is for sure, they've always kept people guessing. They've always kept people talking about them. That's what makes a band last. That and not getting canceled. So I'm glad, aside from being shot up by the police, they haven't had any really bad mishaps. And that unpredictability is part of the reason why people are still caring about their albums. Even now, with this messy headline hanging over their names, there's thousands of fans still buying tickets for the Blue album live in full. I don't blame them. I could see them doing something really bad and people still wanting to see that album live. It is definitely one of the top rock albums over the last 30 years for sure. So now the big question is, where does Weezer go from here? Jillian, her next court date is April 30th, so the end of this month. She's recovering physically. The legal process is only just beginning, though, and Scott, unless something changes, is still performing with the band. Gotta make that money to pay for those lawyers. Those LA lawyers are not cheap. Meanwhile, Weezer is playing Coachella this Saturday night, as planned. Some fans are showing up for the nostalgia. Others are stepping back out with discomfort and disbelief. And most of us, we're stuck in the weird in-between, maybe. Trying to square a band that gave us Island in the Sun with a very real, very serious police incident. It's a reminder that celebrities, they don't always protect everyone from crisis. And the last 3 decades of music and intervention has fueled this comeback moment. And Weezer, once again, is at the center of the story that no one expected. Again, they are always keeping themselves in the spotlight. And after putting out an album like Blue, I'm not surprised. So again, I was supposed to be sharing the screen. That's one of the things I'm not great at with this show. I usually remember when I get to my second article. So today I'm gonna check you in on what's going on with the artist Jelly Roll. Again, if you're watching, you can comment down below. Let me know who you want me to do some reports on in the future. We always do a local shot for local bands. I've been covering a lot of bands that I personally know, bands I played shows with in the Philadelphia area. Today I'm going to be covering an artist that I haven't met in person, but I've talked to a lot online. So, Jelly Roll, if you guys have listened to his music, heard his music, he's somebody that really took over the music scene, I want to say in the last 2 or 3 years. I never heard about him, and all of a sudden he is everywhere. He's playing with every musician. He's on everybody's reels. Not my favorite music, but he's definitely putting out hits. So, rolling with the Jelly Roll. All right, folks. Let's see. Where do I want to start with this? So, he's a walking paradox. A country boy who made it in rap, a former inmate who sells out arenas, and guy named after a dessert who now is dropping pounds like mixtapes. Yeah, you guessed it, Jelly Roll. Now, let me tell you right off the bat, if you've never heard of Jelly Roll, don't worry. By the end of this talk, you will know his name. You might be rooting for him like he's your cousin's underdog bar trivia team. He's the kind of guy that, one, you want to see him win, because when he wins, it feels like we all do. So let's rewind the clock a little bit. Born Jason DeFord is his name. Jelly Roll came into the world in Antioch, Tennessee. Got a lot of musicians coming out of Tennessee. A working class suburb of Nashville. But let's be honest, not the part with it's not the part with songwriters sipping oat milk lattes. His upbringing was super rough. So think survival, not soccer practice. His dad was a meat salesman by day, pool hustler by night. Yeah, really, a pool hustler. His mom struggled with addiction and mental health. So there's no white picket fence. It's more like barbed wire and busted dreams. A true outside of Nashville story. And Jason, well, he found himself following the wrong footsteps. By age 14, he was already in and out of juvenile detention. By 16, he had caught his first felony. Respect. By the time he was in his 20s, he had done hard time. Charges ranged from drug possession to armed robbery. At one point, he was looking at 20 years behind bars. Guys, this is a straight from the bottom, build yourself up story, and it's about a musician that is killing it right now. Here's the twist. He could have just become another statistic, another mugshot in a dusty file, but Jelly Roll had his weird little thing in him called self-awareness. He wasn't proud of his past. He also didn't run from it, though. While sitting in a jail cell, something clicked. He started writing, rhyming, dreaming. He said, "I'm either going to die a criminal or live like a man who got a second shot." And he ran with that second shot like it was the last beer at a barbecue. He started out in rap, gritty, underground, southern rap, stuff your mom wouldn't approve of, probably. And his first music was raw, street heavy, full of pain and profanity, but also packed with truth. He didn't rap about Lambos or luxury jets. He rapped about addiction, poverty, getting jumped, and trying to find God while ducking the cops. The people were listening, not only because it was pretty, but it was really honest. And Jelly Roll, he wasn't trying to be anyone but himself, and that was the key. The authenticity is what attracted people to him. He built his fan base from the ground up. No label, no big marketing team, just YouTube, CDs out of the trunk like MC Hammer, and a ridiculous work ethic, which is super impressive from a guy that's, I believe he was at 550 something pounds, big dude. He'd play tiny clubs where the crowds were about 5 people, and 2 of them were the bartenders, and still he showed up and gave 100%. Now, Jelly wasn't content to stay boxed in his own genre. He grew up on Tupac and George Jones. You see, while he was one foot in the trap house, the other was tapping to Hank Williams, true Southern boy. So eventually his sound evolved into the beautiful Frankenstein monster of hip-hop, country, rock, and blues. No one knew where to file him. And that's something that record labels often stay away from. When they don't know how to file an artist, they really don't mess with them. One critic called it emo country rap. And you know what? That's not far off. But what's wild is it worked. He started hitting the charts, first in hip-hop, then in country. He was the guy who could spit bars 1 minute and then belt a southern gospel hook the next.
Versus Toyota Corolla. Look what.
Sorry about the commercials on the site making noise. And then slowly the industry had to pay attention. Even the Grand Ole Opry, yes, the Opry invited him to perform. And when Jelly walked into that stage, tattoos, tears, trucker hat, and all, he brought something country music hadn't seen in a long time. The truth, unfiltered. And don't even get started on his voice, because this man can sing. Like, grab your soul and squeeze it kind of singing. His voice isn't polished, it's not pretty, but it's real. It's worn, it's weepy, it's wobbly in all the right ways. You listen to Jelly Roll's songs and you feel it. Like, you just got punched in the gut by a preacher wearing a leather vest. Man. Now let's talk about his personal side, because Jelly Roll is a little bit more than just his music. His weight loss journey has been one of the most public and inspiring parts of his story. As a guy who used to be, I was up, I want to say around 330, 325, I want to say about 10 years ago when I was unhappily married. Weight loss journey is something I really gravitate towards. I'm now hovering around 260, 270. I did get myself down to 235, let myself go a little bit, but now I'm getting back into the action. So I've been following his weight loss journey more than I've been following his music. I really like Jelly Roll as a person. I'm not huge on his music, but I really like who he is. So let's be real, he's always been a really big guy. So he used to joke that his stage name came from his love for snacks and Southern food. But in recent years, something shifted. He said, I want to be around for my daughter, for my wife, for me. That hits different, doesn't it? It's really hard to see a rock musician being that heartfelt and talking about family. So what did he do? He started walking, started changing what he ate, started taking care of himself. Not to get a six-pack, but to get more like 6 decades. A little quote from him. He said, I started at 540 pounds. And today, I was 357 pounds this morning. That's 200 pounds. Super impressive. Super impressive. And that's real work. That's real discipline. It's the kind of transformation that you just don't do for Instagram. You do it because you want to live. I think that's what's really cool about his story. But through all this, the fame, the weight loss, the awards, he hasn't lost touch with where he came from. He still has a really soft spot for people struggling with addiction. He still shows up at juvenile centers to talk to the kids who are from where he once was. He still says, if I can do it, anyone can. Let's not forget he's a family man. So Jelly Roll married to Bunny XO, a former model and podcast host, and that's definitely he's a big dude, and he got a model. So guys, up your self-esteem, up your personal worth. There's hope out there. She stood by him through thick and thin, literally. They're hilarious together. I've seen the videos. If you've ever seen them online, you know what I mean. They're like a couple at Waffle House who might argue over hash browns, but would throw hands at each other if a fight. They would throw hands for each other if a fight broke out. And his daughter, man, he's got a teenage daughter from previous relationship, and he's in it as a dad. He's spoken openly about how he missed the early years of her life because he was in prison. But now he's making up for the lost time more than ever. So he's taken a front row to her school events, FaceTimes, singing her name on stage. He's not just changing his own life, he's also trying to rewrite his family's story as well. So what's the takeaway here? Why should we care about a guy with a dessert nickname and a criminal record? Because Jelly Roll is walking, singing, and hugging proof that people can change. Something you don't often see, and you don't often see it in celebrities. That's what's super inspiring about this guy. That music is healing. That vulnerability isn't weakness, it's power. And maybe most importantly, it's a never too late to start over story. Whether you're 16 and heading down a dark road, or you're 40 and trying to climb back out, his story says you can do it. Yeah, he's got awards now. So he's won the CMT Breakthrough Male Artist of the Year award. He's hit #1 on the country charts. He's headlining festivals. But what makes Jelly Roll special, it's not just his awards, it's the authenticity again. The way he still talks to fans like they're friends. The way he thanks God and his probation officer for the same sentence. The way he makes everyone feel seen, whether you're in the front row of his concert or watching his YouTube video in a halfway house. So here's the Jelly Roll, the unlikeliest star in the music world. A man who fell down hard and got back up even harder and brought his whole damn heart with him. So if you're ever feeling lost, feeling stuck, feel like your past is too messy to move forward, just remember, if Jelly Roll can do it, you can too. So that's a wrap on Jelly Roll. Again, if you don't know about him, you can find him all over the web. You can find him on all streaming platforms. You can find lots of live videos on YouTube. We're going to get to our local artist. So I think I found this guy on, he was either Facebook or Instagram, Seth Witcher, who I contacted yesterday telling him I was going to do a little piece on him and asked him what he wanted me to add. So I've got that at the end. So we're talking about a guy that's straight from the streets of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, cheesesteaks, and some seriously raw music talent. I'm talking about a dude who's been making serious waves with his voice, his hustle, and his authenticity, Seth Witcher. If you don't know the name, don't worry, you're about to find out. So let's rewind a little bit. Seth Witcher didn't grow up in the spotlight like so many indie artists. He started with a dream and a laptop. Hailing from the suburbs around Philadelphia, he got to start writing songs in his bedroom. Just a kid with a voice and a guitar and a heart full of verses. No major label backing, no viral moment out of the gate, just pure grind. I respect it. I see him posting content all the time. The guy is on his game. I definitely could see him blowing up, so make sure you check him out. Now, here's what I love. This man is self-made in the purest sense. He taught himself guitar. He started uploading music to streaming platforms, and he started performing everywhere that he could, from street corners to small bars to college gigs. His energy, relentless. That's the Philly hustle through and through. It's just guys that just don't give up. You get hit, you get back up. That Rocky mentality. It wasn't just about making noise. It was about making meaning. From early tracks like Come Alive to Heartbreak, Tingling of So Much to Say, Seth's music always brings a kind of emotional clarity that hits a little bit different. He's not trying to sound like anyone else. He's not chasing clout. He's just telling the truth. And people feel that in your music when you're just being honest and really just singing with the tummy, is what my buddy Preston used to call it when we were recording our first full-length album as Awaking Mercury. So let's talk sound. What's Seth Witcher's vibe? Well, it's the fun part. It's hard to pin down, and that's kind of by design. He floats between an alt-pop, indie rock, and emo sound. This guy, if you want to check out his social media, he's really good with posting content. He's always putting out videos. He's always putting out just pictures, what he's up to, what he's working on. Definitely a great artist to follow. Definitely gives you a lot. So some tracks kind of feel like a pop punk revival. Others, they kind of feel like he'd be at home on a Juice WRLD playlist. Yet, it always sounds like him. So check out the song Just Be Mine. It's got that smooth, almost dreamy vocal layering over the beat that creeps up on you. Then flip it over to the song With Me, and boom, you've got this crunchy pop rock anthem energy. He's switching lanes like he owns the whole highway. And the vocals, clean, emotional, and with a little edge. Seth can sing, scream with the best of them, but can also pull back and hit you with a soft falsetto. This delivery feels lived in. It's like he's not just performing, he's processing, which is something that as an artist I super appreciate. That's something that I get from some people is they really feel the music through the lyrics, how the artist performs. I love getting that dissection from people. What stands out about out is how polished it is overall. Even without a major label and its resources, the production is tight, the hooks are sharp, and the lyrics vulnerable, honest, sometimes dark, but always real. So, mental health and message. Seth isn't just making music for streams. He's speaking to people who need to hear that they're not alone. The big part of his brand is mental health awareness. He's been open about his own struggles with anxiety and depression, and that transparency is baked into his music. On social media, he's constantly dropping messages of encouragement, reminding people to keep going, to love themselves, to keep creating even when it feels impossible. That authenticity isn't a gimmick. It's part of why his fan base is growing so strong. He's really connecting with people that like his music and check him out. There's something deeply human about his songs. You can feel the weight of this guy who's been through it, still going through it, but trying to turn that pain into something beautiful. Now that's power. And in today's music landscape, it stands out. So part 4 of this segment, the hustle. You know what I really respect is Seth's grind outside the booth. He's everywhere. You'll catch him doing live shows all across the city, hitting open mics, pushing his merch, showing up for fans. He's not waiting for the industry to give him a shot. He is taking the shot. Again, any goal you have, any dream you want to achieve, don't wait for it to happen. Push. Don't stop fighting. So, this dude will be busking on the streets of Philly with a guitar in his hand and a speaker on his side. That's real love for the craft. He's got that busker to venue energy, building fans one handshake at a time. It's rare to see that. And in an era where people are trying to go viral overnight, Seth's over here just building his career the old school way. Slow, steady, and face to face. So, where's he heading? So, where's he going, man? The sky is open wide for him. He's already played big showcases, opened for major acts, and built a loyal following online and in the streets. I could easily see him breaking into a bigger indie label, or maybe staying totally independent and creating his own lane entirely. Kind of like Chance the Rapper. His visuals are getting cleaner, his voice is evolving, and he's reaching and expanding his music. I wouldn't be surprised to see this time next year he's talking about national performances. Seth is definitely just getting started, and he's doing it his way. So be part of the journey. So to sum up Seth Witcher, he's a Philly artist with a sound that's hard to define but impossible to ignore. If you're into music that's real, raw, and speaks from the soul, go run up to his Spotify or his iTunes. Go follow him on social media. Go to his shows. Support the local artists who are out there bleeding into their own songs. I asked him again if there was anything he wanted me to add for this segment. He simply just said, I'll be releasing music very soon, hopefully this month. I would love for people to check it out. So make sure you follow him online, comment, reach out to him. Great guy. You'll see his videos where he dresses as an astronaut one of my friends was, I sent his music to a bunch of my fans, not only for Sunblind, but also for this show. And one of my friends was like, oh, I really like that guy that wore the astronaut costume. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, find those videos. Again, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you comment below. Share this episode with a friend. Share it with a musician. Reach out to me if you think your band should be showcased. Reach out to me if there's an article you want me to do. Have a great weekend, guys. This is Luke Eccles with Off the Record. You awake down there, Cole?